Chapter 5089. In the Spirit Sea region, not long after Feng Jiu left, a huge wave was set off on the surface of the sea. It was as if something fell from the sky into the sea at that moment, splashing water on the huge wave. The movement on the surface of the sea alerted Du Fan and the others. They quickly came out to check, only to see the wave surging more than 10 meters high towards their spaceship. What's going on? Why are there suddenly waves without any wind? Luo Yu came out and was stunned when he saw the huge wave. Weren't all the sovereigns killed? Who else could be causing trouble? Guan Shilin said with a frown, staring at the huge wave on the surface of the sea. At the same time, their spaceship also flew higher. No. Suddenly, Luo Yu's eyes narrowed. Before Master came, there was another one hiding behind the clouds. Hearing this, they suddenly remembered and immediately said, "Let's go down and take a look." The one hiding behind the clouds could only be heard but not seen. Especially when their master came, there was not even the slightest bit of aura, as if it had escaped long ago. But at this moment, looking at the surface of the sea without any wind, their hearts couldn't help but sink. However, just as they jumped into the sea, a powerful airflow suddenly surged up from the bottom of the sea. It was as if something had exploded. Even in the sea, the energy airflow could be clearly seen rapidly spreading to the surroundings. Bang! Boom! Amidst the deafening sound, a terrifying air current surged out. In that instant, the entire sea shook violently, and the seawater surged up violently. Even the few people who had just jumped into the sea were knocked out of the sea by the powerful and terrifying pressure of the turbulent current. Bang, bang, bang. It was as if a wave of airflow had surged from the bottom of the sea and blasted them out of the sea. Just as they flew out of the sea, they quickly stabilized themselves and retreated, their eyes filled with shock. Master's barrier has been broken. Du Fan's face was solemn, and his heart sank. He had a faint bad feeling. Once the barrier is broken, I'm afraid the Yama Lord will dot at this time. Luo Yu's expression was also very dignified. They looked at the airflow that was still surging outwards. At this time, the seawater was boiling like boiling water. For it to have such an effect from the depths of the sea to the surface, one can imagine how powerful the airflow was. Who is able to break the enchantment that Little Nine set up? What would happen to Mose down there? No, I have to go down and take a look. Guan Shilin was worried and wanted to jump back into the water. We can't go in, and it's useless even if we go in now. Once the barrier is broken, Master should be able to sense it. Du Fan pulled him back and stared at the sea. Just as he finished speaking, he saw a whirlpool appear, and a red figure swept over like a flash of light. Behind her was Hui Lang. Master! They hurriedly called out and reported the matter. A huge wave suddenly appeared in the sea. We wanted to go to the bottom of the sea to check it out, but we were sent flying by the violent turbulence below. It seems that the enchantment set up by Master has been broken. Chapter 5090. As she spoke, she extended her divine sense downwards to search for Mose's location. However, her heart sank when she did so. Seeing that her expression had become extremely bad, Du Fan and the others looked at each other and asked, "Master, how is the Yama Lord?" "He's gone." Feng Jiu's voice was low, and his eyes were cold. There is a trace of the Black Lotus's aura in the depths of the sea. It was the Clear Sky Lord who took the initiative. She did not expect that a mere monarch would have the ability to break through her barrier. Furthermore, it was done when she was rushing to the Heavenly Dan building. There was a trace of the aura of the Black Lotus left in the sea, but there was also the smell of blood. This made her feel very bad, and she had the urge to start a massacre. She raised her chi and soared into the sky. Her killing intent poured out at this moment. Her red figure shot out like a ray of light and instantly disappeared into the clouds. She was too fast, so fast that Du Fan and the others did not even have the chance to catch up. Seeing her leave, Du Fan said, "Master must have gone to find the Clear Sky Lord. Should we follow and help?" Hui Lang asked. Luo Yu shook his head. "Master is too fast. We can't catch up. Furthermore, Master is very strong. We can't help even if we go. Now that so many sovereigns have died, it will definitely cause chaos. What we need to do is to stabilize the chaos so that Master has no worries." Hearing this, Hui Lang glanced at him and said, "Just now, when we were over there, Madam also said the same thing to Qi Kang." He paused and looked at the horizon. He said worriedly, "But now that Master is gone, will something happen?" "I think that nothing will happen to the Yama Lord. Even if he hasn't woken up yet, the Clear Sky Lord wants to threaten Master. Master will definitely not let anything happen to the Yama Lord. Otherwise, if something really happens to the Yama Lord, he won't be able to live." Du Fan said slowly. He stared at the sea where the airflow was gradually dissipating. He said, "Although he is no longer down there, I feel that there is a need to go down and check." "I'll go down with you," Ling Hua said. Du Fan looked at him and nodded. "All right." With that, the two of them jumped into the sea. "Let's go back and arrange things," Luo Yu said as he turned around and headed back to the spaceship. No one knew when the huge waves had dissipated, and the churning seawater had gradually calmed down. However, everyone's hearts were unusually heavy because the Yama Lord had disappeared. In the spacecraft, Fan Lin was treating Qin Xan and Yi Feifei. As soon as he walked out of the cabin, he saw them and asked, "How is it?" The few of them shook their heads and briefly explained the situation. Hearing their words, Fan Lin and the others couldn't help but frown. "That's going to be troublesome. Madam has already gone after them." "She'll be fine," Hui Lang said. No one knew if he was telling them or comforting himself. After a long time, Du Fan and Leng Hua returned from the bottom of the sea. When they landed in the spaceship, they pursed their lips tightly, their expressions extremely ugly. "How was it? Did you find anything?" Guan Shilin hurriedly asked. Du Fan and Leng Hua looked at each other. Leng Hua said, "We found some extremely small pieces of a corpse at the bottom of the sea. Master said that the body that broke her barrier self-destructed, but under those circumstances, we felt that something was wrong." Chapter 5091. Hearing their words, a few of them frowned and said, "If there was one person who blew up the barrier, then there must be another person who could take the Yama Lord away." However, only an instant passed between the moment the commotion occurred and the moment we came out to investigate. We didn't see anyone leave from the surface of the sea at all. I reckon that they left directly from the bottom of the sea. Furthermore, under such circumstances, even a monarch wouldn't be able to take the Yama Lord away unscathed when another monarch self-destructed. As Du Fan spoke, he looked at them and said, "I want to make a trip to the Heaven Realm under the jurisdiction of the Clear Sky Monarch." He had some things that he wanted to verify. If things were really as he thought, then it would really be troublesome. Hearing this, Luo Yu and the others said, "That's good too. Master is going alone. Go over and see if there's anything that you can help with. If there's any news about the Yama Lord, remember to tell us." Du Fan responded. Then, he gathered his qi and flew towards the sky. Leng Hua was deep in thought. He didn't say anything at the side. No one knew what he was thinking about. Because she had searched the soul of the South Qing monarch, she was very clear about the location of the Clear Sky monarch's territory. When the sky darkened, she came to this area. She arrived quietly and didn't alarm anyone. Instead, she went straight to the palace of the Clear Sky Monarch to investigate quietly. Along the way, she was also thinking about how the Clear Sky Monarch made a monarch self-destruct to break her barrier. Also, how did he not get injured by the powerful air currents of the explosion and take Mose away under such circumstances? Could it be that the clear sky monarch had some kind of treasure that could save his life? Otherwise, how could all of this be explained? The palace was heavily guarded, and there were guards patrolling everywhere. However, it was extremely easy for her to pass through. With the strength of these guards, it was impossible for them to discover her. Without alerting anyone, she managed to get a rough idea of the palace. However, she did not find the clear sky sovereign's people. He wasn't here. Had he run to another place to hide? Was that even possible? No matter how big the outside world was, it would be as safe as the palace she was familiar with. Moreover, she believed that there would definitely be some sort of underground secret room in the palace. Perhaps the clear sky monarch had hidden Mose somewhere in the palace. After searching for a while, she still couldn't find him. She took a deep breath and suppressed the irritation and killing intent in her heart. As she calmed herself down, she began to search the entire palace with her divine sense. As soon as she searched with her divine sense, some of the stronger cultivators in the palace instantly noticed it. "Who is it?" Dignified shouts came from various parts of the palace. At the same time, figures leaped out from various places and stood in the air. Their sharp eyes carried an intimidating aura as they searched for the uninvited guest who dared to use his divine sense to search the palace. When their gazes swept past the darkness and landed on the red figure that was still clearly visible in the dark, some people's pupils involuntarily constricted as shock and disbelief flashed across their eyes. Ghost Dr. Fengjiu. Chapter 5092. Fengjiu glanced at them, and her cold voice spread in the night wind. "Where's the clear sky monarch?" The monarch didn't come back," one of them said with a trembling voice. His entire face turned pale when he saw her. "Is that so?" Her voice was indifferent. However, in the next moment, a long sword that was suffused with a green light appeared in her hand. The sharp tip of the sword was slanted towards the ground, and a biting cold sword energy was released from the blade. It was extremely fierce and terrifying. That murderous aura was felt by the cultivators who were 100 meters away. When they saw her brandishing her long sword, their eyes narrowed. Some turned and fled, while others knelt down and exclaimed, "Have mercy, Ghost Doctor. I know that there's a secret room in the monarch's palace. Maybe he's hiding in the secret room. I can bring Ghost Doctor to look for him." Swish! 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 The sharp sword intent attacked those cultivators when they turned and fled. A few rays of cold light with frightening murderous aura shot towards them. A few screams sounded in the night, followed by the sound of a few people collapsing. Among those cultivators, only the trembling cultivator who knelt down was still alive. The red robe swept across the night, and in the blink of an eye, she arrived in front of that cultivator. "Lead the way." Fengjiu's cold voice was exceptionally clear in the night. Especially the murderous aura emitted from her body, it was even more frightening. "Yes, yes." That cultivator wiped off his cold sweat and stood up while trembling. He brought her to the palace below. However, because those cultivators were killed and their corpses fell below, it alarmed the guards who were patrolling the night. In an instant, chaotic footsteps could be heard from below, accompanied by a stern shout. "Who dares to barge into the clear sky palace at night?" The guards who were patrolling the night and the shadow guards who were hiding in the dark all rushed out at this moment and quickly surrounded the two of them. These guards and shadow guards had never seen Fengjiu before, but they recognized the cultivator who was trembling beside her. Just as they were about to ask, they saw a murderous aura spread out, and a cold light swept across the night sky. She didn't use her aura to suppress and kill them directly. Instead, she used her killing intent to kill them directly. Because at this moment, the murderous aura in her heart was surging. Only by seeing blood could she calm down. The cultivator who was following beside her saw this scene, and his lips kept trembling. There were at least 100 guards and shadow guards who surrounded them. However, in just a short while, those people fell one by one before he could even see how she appeared. Fresh blood splattered on the ground, and severed limbs scattered in all directions. Even someone like him who had seen many bloody scenes couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart when he saw this bloody scene. "Let's go." A cold voice suddenly sounded in his ears, startling him. He quickly led the way when the cultivator. This place was covered with layers upon layers of barriers and formations. If not for this person leading the way, it would have been difficult to find it in a short time. She glanced at the cultivator and asked, "Who are you? How do you know about the existence of this secret room?" Logically speaking, except for the owner of this place, no one else knew about this place. Chapter 5093. His voice trembled as he spoke in a small voice. He secretly raised his head to look at her. Seeing her indifferent expression and not saying anything else, he hurriedly said, "Ghost Doctor, I've never entered this secret room before. I don't know what's inside, but if the monarch has returned, his hiding place must be here. So, do you think I can that he didn't dare to follow her in? What if he didn't find the monarch inside, and the ghost doctor became angry and killed him? Or, even if the monarch was really inside, if he followed her in, it would be difficult for him to survive." Shio! Ah! A sharp, cold light flashed past, followed by a blood-curdling scream. At the same time, fresh blood spurted out. That cultivator fell to his knees, and one of his arms fell to the ground. Blood gushed out from the wound where his arm was severed. Scram! Fengzhou didn't even look at him. She just calmly shouted, Yes. Thank you, Ghost Doctor, for not killing me," he said gratefully. After kowtowing to her, he held his severed arm and hurriedly walked out. Compared to the others who were killed, he only lost an arm. This was already a great mercy. It was as if he had just escaped with his life. He didn't dare to stay here for long, and quickly escaped from the palace. Fengzhou stepped into the secret room, and walked down the stone steps. When she entered, she felt that other than the cold air in the air, there was also an extremely strong spiritual aura. As she walked down, the space in her line of sight became bigger and bigger. Inside, it didn't look like an underground secret room, but an underground palace. On the walls, fist-sized luminous pearls and colored glass lamps could be seen everywhere, illuminating the entire place. However, there was a faint mist that filled the air, as if it was condensed from cold air. Just as she walked forward, suddenly, a ferocious beast rushed out and pounced towards her. Its aura was fierce, and its strength was great. The wind in the air made a whistling sound. She narrowed her eyes, and the spiritual aura on her body circulated. The red figure instantly swept out. Instead of dodging, she directly met it. The sharp sword in her hand viciously slashed at the ferocious beast. Shio! Roar! The sharp sword aura carried an ancient pressure as it spread out. In an instant, a shrill roar of a beast could be heard from the thin mist. Then, with a loud bang, it was as if the beast's corpse had fallen to the ground. The mist dissipated due to the surge of spiritual power, and his vision became clear. Fengzhou looked at the ground in front of him. There was a divine beast-level vicious beast that had been cut into two halves. Its head and body were separated and scattered on the ground. Blood gushed out and dyed the ground red. She calmly retracted her gaze and continued to walk forward. As she entered, she could faintly feel the aura of the Black Lotus. After walking forward for about 10 meters, she saw a boundary that exuded the aura of the Black Lotus. Break! With a clear shout, she struck out with her hand, and a powerful force gushed out, instantly breaking the barrier. Bang! A loud bang was heard. It was not very loud, but there was a visible airflow that spread to the surroundings. The chi of the Black Lotus in this airflow permeated the surroundings, but it did not dare to approach Fengzhou. Chapter 5094. It was like an ice cellar. It was snow-white inside, and cold air poured out. Even she could feel the bone-chilling coldness as she stood beside the stone door. Due to the extreme coldness, the surroundings had been frozen into snow-white ice. Near the edge of the room, there was a bed of ice that seemed to have been created from the heavens. Xianyuan Mose lay there in his black robes, as if he was sleeping soundly. Seeing him, she walked in with large strides and called out to the ice bed, "Mose." Aside from her voice, there was no other sound. There was no trace of the clear sky monarch either. She looked at Mose, who was sleeping on the ice bed. It had already been a few years since she was able to see him up close. This time, she hadn't had the chance to go to the bottom of the sea to see him when he was brought here. She extended her hand to gently stroke his face. She could feel that his celestial body had condensed and his aura had stabilized. She finally relaxed. "It's good that you're fine," she said softly. She let out a sigh of relief and smiled faintly. "Mose, I'm back. Do you know?" She held his hand and felt the coldness of his hand. She glanced at the world of ice and snow around her and said, "This place should be where a spirit vein is located. The spiritual chi here is extremely abundant, and it's cold as well. This aura is quite compatible with you. Compared to the bottom of the spirit region of the East Sea, the aura here is more suitable for your soul." She took a step back and looked at the sleeping Mose. She said, "I'll help you. I'll transfer the cold aura and the aura of the spirit vein into your body." As she spoke, she gathered her hands together and her aura circulated. She guided the aura and the cold aura into his body. With the help of Fengzhou, a steady stream of spirit power and the cold aura entered his body. They were quickly absorbed by his body and turned into energy in his body. As the aura and the cold aura surged into Mose's body, the aura of spiritual chi in the air gradually weakened. The world of ice and snow around him also gradually melted. Some of the ice and snow turned into water droplets that fell to the ground. As the night passed, the world of ice and snow completely melted, revealing the stone walls behind the ice and snow. The entire underground palace was like a dried-up well. There was no aura of spiritual chi left at all. Fengzhou withdrew his hand and exhaled gently. He glanced at the moist surroundings and prepared to leave with Mose. At this moment, he faintly heard Du Fan's call. "Master! Master!" Du Fan arrived at the palace. Corpses could be seen everywhere, and they had died extremely tragically. The entire palace was silent. Aside from the corpses on the ground, there was nothing else. Looking at this scene, he knew that his master had been here before, but he didn't know if his master was still here. Just as he was about to use his divine sense to search, he heard his master's voice. "I'm in the underground palace of the main palace. Come here." Chapter 5095. I was just about to bring him back. You've come at the right time. Come and help me support him, Fengzhou said. She looked at Du Fan, who was walking over quickly, and asked, "How did you find me so quickly? Have you been here before?" "No, but I had people investigate this clear sky monarch, so I know the location of his palace," Du Fan said and came to her side. After glancing at the sleeping Yama Lord, she looked around and asked, "Master, did you find the clear sky monarch?" Fengzhou shook her head and said, "It's strange. I came here to find Mose, but I didn't see the clear sky monarch. Instead, Mose was placed here. The original environment here was very beneficial to him. It's just that there was a barrier set up with the aura of the Black Lotus, but I couldn't find the aura of the Black Lotus outside here." She kept feeling that something was wrong, but she didn't know what the problem was. "Master, I have something to report to you." As Du Fan spoke, he looked at Xianyuan Mose, who was in deep sleep. Seeing this, Fengjiu looked back and asked, "What is it? Speak." "Before coming, Lang Hua and I went to the depths of the sea to investigate. We found that there were broken limbs and fragments that broke through the barrier set up by Master. Master also said that it was self-detonation, and only monarchs could break through the defensive barrier set up by Master. However, there's something I don't understand. The turbulence and airflow caused by self-detonation were so terrifying. Under such circumstances, how did the Clear Sky Monarch survive and take the Yama Lord away? My guess is that he should have some protective treasure." Fengjiu said and paused. "It's very likely that he used the power of the Black Lotus to control a monarch and made him use himself as a shield to break through my barrier. At that moment, he used some treasure to protect himself and took Mo's away at the same time." She pondered for a moment and said, "Since this Clear Sky Monarch is a descendant of the great emperor of the upper celestial world, it's hard to guarantee that he doesn't have some life-saving items." Du Fan paused and looked at the Yama Lord. "Master, have you examined the Yama Lord's body? Is there anything wrong?" Fengjiu, who was still thinking about something, was surprised when he heard her words. He looked at her and said, "What do you mean? Could it be that you feel that something is wrong with Mose?" As she spoke, she looked at Mose, who was lying on the ground. Without waiting for Du Fan to speak, she said, "I examined him last night. Perhaps it's because of the aura here, but his immortal body has been condensed very well. Furthermore, I used the aura of the spirit vein here and the cold aura here to strengthen his immortal body. Perhaps, he will wake up soon." Of course, she had examined him and found that there were no problems in all aspects. This was also what she found strange. That Clear Sky Monarch brought him here, but then disappeared, leaving only Mose here. What was the reason for this? And where did he go? Hearing her words, Du Fan's anxious heart finally relaxed. Since Master said that there's nothing wrong with the Yama Lord, then that's great. This place is rather humid. Master, let's go back first. Chapter 5096. Fengjiu and Du Fan brought Mose to the courtyard where Qi Kong and the others were. After a night's work, Qi Kong and the others had the situation under control. When they suddenly saw the three of them, they couldn't help but be shocked and quickly went forward. "Master, what happened to the Yama Lord?" "Master." Ying Yi quickly went forward and helped to support him. Fengjiu let Ying Yi and Du Fan help him in and said, "Something happened. There's no need to guard the spirit region of the East Sea. Send a message to Luo Yu and the others and tell them that we're here now." She paused for a moment before continuing, "Also, tell my brother to tell my grandpa and the others that they don't have to worry, and that they don't have to come all the way here, in case." Before she could finish her sentence, she heard Du Fan's exclamation from inside. "Master! Come and see." Hearing the voice, Fengjiu couldn't care about anything else and immediately walked in. As soon as he entered, he felt an extremely cold aura spreading out. At the same time, the aura of the Black Lotus surged out from Mose's body. Du Fan and Ying Yi retreated because of the aura. They were anxious but didn't dare to go forward. Fengjiu, who came in, saw Mose lying on the bed with an icy aura surging out from his body. At the same time, the aura of the Black Lotus also surged out from his body. The two auras seemed to be competing, so much so that the entire room was filled with the aura of extreme cold and the aura of the Black Lotus. "You two go out," Fengjiu said and gestured for the two to come out. Seeing this, the two quickly went out and closed the door and stood guard by the door. Du Fan's expression was serious and his eyes were slightly lowered. No one knew what he was thinking. Ying Yi looked back at the room behind him from time to time and couldn't help but ask, "What's going on? Who brought Master out from the deep sea? Had his body already formed into an immortal body? And what's with the cold aura and the aura of the Black Lotus? Du Fan, you've been by Master's side for a long time, so you should know what's going on, right? Tell us about it." Chi Kong and the others also stepped forward. Du Fan looked up at them and said, "The clear sky monarch broke through the defensive barrier that Master laid at the bottom of the sea and took the Yama Lord away. Master chased after him to the clear sky palace and found the Yama Lord in the underground palace. When I went there, I didn't see the clear sky monarch and only brought the Yama Lord back. As for the rest, I don't really understand." Hearing these words, the crowd looked at each other and didn't say anything else. They just waited there. In the room, Fengjiu stood by the bed and watched as the two auras on Mose's body battled. Her eyes flashed. She could sense the faint aura of the azure dragon within the extremely cold chi, while she could faintly sense an aura that did not belong to Mose within the chi of the Black Lotus. As if she thought of something, her heart skipped a beat. She tapped on his forehead with her finger, and a trace of her divine sense entered his sea of consciousness. In the white sea of consciousness, there was an extremely cold chi. She sent a wisp of her divine sense inside and saw Mose, who was sleeping in the sea of consciousness, as well as the faint azure dragon shape and the wisp of divine sense that had turned into chi on his body. Clear Sky Monarch. You really were hiding here. Chapter 5097. Even Mose, who was in a deep slumber, instinctively tried to devour the other party when he sensed that someone was trying to devour his soul and take over his body. The sleeping azure dragon chi coiled around his body. At this moment, it was tightly wrapped around the Clear Sky Lord's soul. However, the Clear Sky Lord's soul had the imprint of the Black Lotus, which made the situation a little troublesome. Even though she had entered, this was Mose's sea of consciousness. She could not destroy the Clear Sky Lord's soul for him, or she would hurt Mose's soul and sea of consciousness. At this moment, the only person who could destroy the Clear Sky Lord was Mose himself. Fengjiu. Let's see how arrogant you can be when I take over his body. Ha 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 ha. The face that was filled with hostility was revealed. Sinister laughter rang out from his mouth and reverberated in the sea of consciousness. Fengjiu did not move. She only looked at him quietly. She curled her lips and said, "Is that so? Do you think he's that easy to take over? Right now, he's only in a deep slumber, but he can still trap you. Do you think you have that chance?" Her voice became gentle and indifferent. She continued on hurriedly, "You're hiding here, but your descendants won't be as lucky as you. With my current strength and abilities, they'll fall into my hands even if they flee to the ends of the earth. Tell me, how do you think they should die then? Skin them alive and pull out their tendons? Or grind their bones to dust? Or perhaps, his divine soul was destroyed, never to be reincarnated?" Her voice rang out slowly. However, the coldness and killing intent in her voice were so shocking that it made one's heart tremble. If they end up in that state, do you think they'll be grateful to you? Or will they hate you? Her voice rang out faintly. It was like a demonic voice that disturbed his emotions, causing his soul to become unstable. He shouted crazily, "Shut up! Stop talking! Stop talking!" Ah! His mind was in chaos. His soul became even more unstable, and the aura of his soul weakened. No! The weakening of his spirit caused him to cry out in fear. He felt the dragon chi of the azure dragon tightly binding him like an immortal rope. He didn't even have the chance to struggle. Moreover, the sleeping Xianyuan Mose's spirit was too powerful. His spirit, which wanted to devour Xianyuan Mose's spirit, was slowly being devoured. This knowledge caused him to feel fear from the bottom of his heart. No. I'll succeed. I'll succeed. Ah! He to kill Xianyuan Moses, to kill him and Moses' azure dragon's chi. And Mose. To Moses' soul. The azure dragon's azure chi. As soon as she left Mose's consciousness, she retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. Hearing the commotion in the room, Du Fan and the others who were guarding the door were shocked. They quickly pushed the door open and ran in. Master. They saw Fingzhou holding the table with one hand and wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth with the other. They quickly helped her to sit down. Master, how are you? Chapter 50-98. She caught her breath and sat down by the table. She looked at Mose on the bed and said, "The clear sky sovereign soul is hidden in Mose's sea of consciousness." What? Ying Yi was shocked. His expression changed completely. Du Fan had already guessed it. His heart sank when he heard her say that. He asked, "Master, do you have a way to find him and destroy him?" Fingzhou shook her head and said slowly, "I didn't find anything strange when I checked his pulse earlier. The clear sky sovereign should have hidden himself. This caused such a commotion because he wanted to devour Mose's soul and take over his body. However, he underestimated Mose's strength. He failed to devour Mose's soul and is now trapped by the chi of the Azure Dragon." She paused and looked at Mose on the bed. She said, "The clear sky sovereign is hidden in his sea of consciousness. No one can help him now. The only one who can destroy the clear sky sovereign is himself." But the Black Lotus. Qi Kong frowned slightly. He was rather worried. Fengzhou sighed softly and said, "That's what I'm worried about. If Mose's soul devours the clear sky sovereign soul, the Black Lotus will probably be branded in his soul. However, if he doesn't devour his soul, his body will be taken over. The only outcome is death. Is there no other way?" Bai Xiao could not help but ask. Fengzhou shook her head, "Let's wait and see first. Let's wait until he gets through this." As she said that, her gaze fell on Mose on the bed. She then instructed Qi Kong and the others beside her, "I'll keep watch here. You guys go do what you need to do. I'm afraid the outcome won't be decided in a short period of time." "Yes." They responded and left the room. Qi Kong and the others left first. However, Du Fan and Ying Yi remained in the courtyard to keep watch. Because they knew the situation here, Guan Shilin, Luo Yu, and the others came over the next day after they finished their work in the spirit region of the East Sea. Other than them, the injured Yi Feifei and Qin Xan were also sent over by them. Their injuries were rather serious. Even with Fan Lin's treatment and pills, they had not recovered in a short period of time. However, everyone was here, so it was convenient to take care of them. Guan Shilin strode in. Seeing Du Fan and Ying Yi in the courtyard, he asked, "Why are the two of you guarding here? How's Mose? Is he awake?" "Not yet," Du Fan said. We're all here. We've finished dealing with the matters in the East Sea. We thought that since Master is here, we all came over. If there's anything, we can discuss it together," Luo Yu said. He looked at them and asked, "I heard from Qi Kong that the heavenly monarch spirit is hidden in the Yama Lord Sea of Consciousness. How's the situation now? Is there a result?" "No," Ying Yi said. He looked at the tightly shut door with worry in his heart. This old fart is quite bold. He actually wants to possess Master's body. Master is so powerful. Even if there's no result now, he'll definitely die in the end. Chapter 50-99. She's been inside since she returned yesterday. We asked earlier, but Master said that there's no need. If she's inside, she can handle it immediately if anything happens, Du Fan said. Seeing that Ling Shuang was also there, she said, "Ling Shuang, go and ask the kitchen to prepare something that Master likes to eat. Master hasn't eaten anything since yesterday." "Okay," Ling Shuang replied, then turned and left. "Oh right, how are Fei Fei and Qin Xian?" Du Fan looked at Fan Lin and asked. "We've already settled them down. Their injuries are quite serious, and they're all internal injuries. Even if they ate pills, they probably won't recover so quickly," Fan Lin said. Thinking of their injuries, he couldn't help but say, "Fortunately, Master left us a lot of pills back then. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to survive with such injuries." There was almost no chance of survival from a monarch's all-out attack. Fortunately, they went over in time and treated them in time. As they spoke, the door opened, and Fengjiu walked out. "Xiao Jiu." Guan Shilin saw her come out and hurried forward. Seeing that she didn't look too good, he comforted her, "Don't worry too much. Mose will be fine. That Haotian monarch won't be able to snatch him away." "Yes, Master. Yama Lord will definitely be fine. He's a person blessed by the heavens. He'll definitely be fine." "Yes, Master. Don't worry. Yama Lord will wake up sooner or later. Master, you have to believe in Yama Lord. He'll definitely defeat Haotian monarch." Seeing that they were all comforting her, as if they were afraid that she would be too worried, she couldn't help but smile. "I know. I came out to tell you that Haotian monarch's soul has been swallowed by Mose. Moreover, because he swallowed the power of his soul, Mose's soul has become even stronger now." Hearing that, everyone was stunned, then they cheered. "That's great. I knew that Master would be fine. As expected of the Yama Lord. Ha ha ha, my Master is the best." Everyone laughed happily and felt happy from the bottom of their hearts. There was no other reason. Originally, it was because Mose was still asleep. If he was awake, even 10 Haotian monarchs wouldn't be his match. However, it was hard to say when he was asleep. Therefore, when they heard this news, they were relieved and happy. Du Fan was calmer. Moreover, he had heard from his master that if the Yama Lord swallowed the Clear Sky's sovereign soul, the Black Lotus would stay in the Yama Lord's soul. Hence, at this moment, he looked at Fengjiu and asked, "Master, what about the Black Lotus?" "What about the Black Lotus?" "Would be. It wasn't easy to erase a soul imprint." Fengjiu's smile faded, and he said, "Just as I thought, the ancient Black Lotus is also imprinted on his soul. However, this Black Lotus isn't in full bloom, and its power is weaker. We'll think of a way to erase it after he wakes up." That was the only way now. There was no other way. Chapter 5100. Fengjiu shook his head and said, "It's hard to say, but it shouldn't be too long." She paused, looked at Fan Lin and asked, "How are Qin Xian and Fei Fei? I just heard you say that they are not in good condition. Are they awake now?" "Qin Xian is awake, but Fei Fei is still in a coma," Fan Lin said. "Take me to see them." She motioned. Hearing this, Fan Lin couldn't help but pause and said, "Master, don't you want to have a rest? Your body. It doesn't matter." She interrupted him, waved her hand, and said to Ying Yi and Hui Lang, "You two stay here. I'll be there in a while." "Yes." The two answered. After watching her leave with Fan Lin, they thought for a while and opened the door to see their master. The enchantment in the room had not been removed. Master was sleeping quietly on the bed, and the aura on his body had been restrained. Seeing Guan Shilin and others who came in with a serious face, Du Fan said, "Yama Lord is fine now. Master also said that he will wake up soon. Don't worry too much." "That's right. But the Black Lotus is now in his body. I don't know what will happen when he wakes up," Guan Shilin said, frowning slightly. Everyone was silent and didn't speak for a while. They stayed in the room for a while and then went out. On the other side, Fengjiu came to a wing room in the guest house. Qin Xian was sleeping in the inner room. When she heard the sound, she opened her eyes. When she saw Fengjiu, she struggled to sit up. "Master. Just lie down." Fengjiu stepped forward and motioned her not to move. Then he sat down by the bed. "Master, I didn't expect to see you again. I'm really happy. Chin Xan smiled. She was so excited that her internal injury was affected. Cold sweat oozed out of her forehead and her face became paler. Fengjiu said with a smile, I said that I would come back, but I didn't expect that it would be a few years later. Then he moved her hand to the bed and said, let me check your pulse and see how serious your injury is. While speaking, he put his finger on her pulse and checked her body. After a while, he withdrew his hand and said, it's really serious, and the 5 organs are damaged. Master, don't worry. I've already taken the medicine. The rest, I just need to recuperate slowly. Chin Xan said softly, Fei, I heard from Fan said that she hasn't woken up yet. Well, I know. I'll go to see her later. Then she looked to Fei's to Fan. And Fei and Fei. Fan to say Fei, to go and let her have to lean to rest. Seeing this, Fengjiu glanced at him and said with a smile, you go out first. I'm going to take off her clothes and treat her. Hearing this, Fan Lin helped Chin Xan to sit up and asked, Master, do you need me to ask Ling Shuang to come in and help? No need. Fengjiu said. Well, then I'll go out and wait. If Master needs anything, just call me. Fan Lin looked at Chin Xan and then went out. Chapter 5101. Hearing these words, Chin Xan's beautiful face, which was originally pale, was suffused with a faint blush. She said softly, Master, Chin Xan didn't think about those things. Chin Xan just wants to be by Master's side all the time. Fengjiu chuckled and said, if you marry Fan Lin, you will still be by my side. It's not like you will be marrying far away. While speaking, she pierced a silver needle into the acupoint on her back and said, you have blood clots in your body. I will use a silver needle to help you dissolve the blood clots and then treat you. You will recover faster. Chin Xan's forehead was oozing cold sweat. She only felt that when the silver needle pierced into her acupoint, the pain was a little piercing and painful, with a trace of soreness and numbness. She couldn't help but bite her lower lip and endure the pain. After Fengjiu helped her dissolve the blood clots, she used the qi of Qing Lian to treat her. After about half an hour, she withdrew her hand, exhaled softly, and asked, how do you feel? Do you still feel pain in your chest when you breathe heavily? Much better. Thank you, Master. Chin Xan felt a lot more relaxed. The previous feeling of pain when she moved a little had disappeared. Even her breathing was much smoother. She couldn't help thanking her. Well, you will be fine after 2 more days of recuperation. I will go and see Fei. She got out of bed. After seeing Chin Xan gather her clothes, she turned and walked out. Fan Lin saw her coming out and said, Master, you have been tired. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled and glanced at him, you go in and see her. Fei will be fine when I go there. With that, she walked to another side room. Seeing this, Fan Lin quickly walked into the side room. Seeing Chin Xan preparing to get out of bed, he said, why did you get out of bed? Go back and lie down. Master, help me treat. I feel much better. I want to see Fei. Chin Xan said, glanced at him, and said, why did you come in? Why don't you stay by Master's side and see if Fei needs help? Fan Lin smiled and said, I wanted to come in to see you, and then go to Fei's place to take a look. It's just for a while, it won't delay things. I'll go with you. She felt that her body had recovered 80%, and she had no problem getting out of bed and walking around. Fan Lin looked at her. Seeing that her complexion was much better than before, he nodded and walked out with her. Arriving at Fei's room, he saw that his master was already taking her pulse. Fan Lin stepped forward and said, Master, I fed Fei a medicinal pill, but it only eased her condition a little. She hasn't woken up since she fell into a coma. Moreover, her chest was shattered, and her internal organs were damaged. Fortunately, she was treated in time. Otherwise, ordinary people wouldn't be able to survive under such circumstances. Fengjiu nodded and said, her injuries are indeed very serious. She turned to look at Fan Lin and said, prepare a hot medicinal bath, I will treat her. I don't know what medicinal herbs master needs to boil. Fan Lin asked. He didn't know what medicine she needed for the medicinal bath. Fengjiu came to the table, took out a brush and ink, wrote a prescription, and handed it to him, saying, take this medicine and boil it. After boiling it, let Ling Shuang come over. Master, I'm much better now. I can come and help. Qin Xian said. Fengjiu shook her head and said, you haven't fully recovered yet. After going back, let Fan Lin prescribe some medicine for you. You need to recuperate for 2 days. During these 2 days, stay in bed and rest well. Chapter 5102. After instructing Fan Lin to prepare the medicinal bath, he busied himself until it was late at night. When Fengjiu left Feifei's room, he couldn't help but rub his neck and hands. He almost didn't rest for the whole day. From Mo Zai's matter to Qin Xian and Feifei's injuries, the whole day had passed just like that. Fortunately, after tonight's treatment, Feifei was about 60 to 70% better. If he treated her again tomorrow, she would be about 70 to 80% better. Master, drink a bowl of soup first. Ling Shuang came in with a bowl of hot soup and said, Master, after drinking the soup, take a hot bath and rest early. Ya my lord, we will watch over here. Fengjiu smiled and said, okay. After a tiring day, he couldn't eat anything else. After drinking a bowl of stewed soup, he took a hot bath under Ling Shuang's arrangement. In the past, Fengjiu didn't need anyone to wait on him when he took a bath. Today, seeing that it was already so late and that he was rubbing his neck from time to time, Ling Shuang stayed. Master, I'll help you massage your shoulders. Fengjiu leaned against the hot water bucket and didn't let him go out. Instead, he closed his eyes and lazily responded, okay. The comfortable massage made her whole body relax. With the hot water soaking, she felt a burst of comfort all over her body. She still closed her eyes and leaned against the bucket, saying lazily, Ling Shuang, I didn't know you had this technique. It's so comfortable. Hearing this, Ling Shuang's lips revealed a faint smile and said, I learned it from Qin Xian. She said that this technique can make people relax and can also loosen their muscles and bones. These few years, Master wasn't here and I didn't have much to do, so I learned a little from her. Master, are you doing well in the immortal realm? We haven't heard from you in the past few years, and we miss you very much. Nowhere is peaceful. Back when I ascended, the 4 great sovereigns from the upper immortal plane had wanted to kill me. However, after I ascended, I wanted to deal with them as well. Only, they chose to hide far away. In recent years, there have been no movements or news from them. However, I did manage to kill one of the great sovereigns and take over his territory. Fengjiu said unhurriedly. All these years in the upper immortal realm, although Mo Qin is also an upper immortal, we haven't seen each other many times. I've always been thinking about you guys in the lower immortal realm. In order to break this void enchantment, I spent a few years. Speaking up to here, she smiled and opened her eyes. Her eyes were overflowing with light as she said, I directly came down from my immortal island. I don't think anyone knows. They definitely wouldn't have thought that I would be able to return. Saying this, she paused and turned her head slightly to look at Ling Shuang. She smiled and asked, Ling Shuang, do you want to go to the upper immortal realm? Ling Shuang was slightly startled. He looked at her and said, I only hope to stay by Master's side and serve you. To me, the upper immortal realm and the lower immortal realm are the same. Ling Shuang wants to go wherever Master is. Hearing this, Fengzhou chuckled and said, "You guys have been by my side for so many years. Since I've ascended, I naturally won't forget you guys. Now that I've broken the void enchantment and found a way to connect, I can naturally bring you guys to the upper immortal realm." She smiled and leaned over the bucket. "However, before we leave, I have to reorganize everything here." Chapter 5103. Fengzhou got up from the water. After wiping herself clean, she put on her clothes and went to check on Immerse. Seeing that he was still sleeping, she removed the barrier and said to the Lang Shuang behind her, "You can leave. I'll rest here tonight." Hearing this, the Lang Shuang responded and left, closing the room. Fengzhou came to the bedside and gently caressed Immerse's sleeping face. She softly called out, "Ah Zhe, I'm back. Do you know? I'm right here. When are you going to wake up?" Her hand moved down from his face and landed on his chest. She gently opened his clothes and looked at the black lotus imprinted on his chest that hadn't bloomed yet. She silently sighed. Her green lotus was the chaotic green lotus and also the green lotus of creation. Although she had encountered many dangers when she first obtained the green lotus, she had managed to overcome them all along. Mo Chen had almost died because of her. It was because of the ancient golden lotus that he reconstructed his immortal body and was able to ascend and obtain a new life. Even though he had experienced life and death, he was now an almighty saint emperor. However, the red lotus was in Yu-Er's body. She had sealed it together with her life flame. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to bear it due to her young age. As for this black lotus, no matter which immortal cultivator it fell into, that person would eventually die. Now that it was imprinted on Immerse, she really didn't know what would happen when he woke up. She softly sighed and gently laid down beside him. She nestled against him and wrapped her arm around his waist. Looking at the pleasant sleeping face in front of her, she raised the corner of her lips and revealed a faint smile. "Ah Zhe, I haven't seen you for a few years. You seem to have become more handsome. You're pleasing to the eye no matter how I look at you. Don't you think so?" She softly whispered. Because he was by her side and she was really tired these past few days, she unknowingly fell into a deep sleep. Immerse, who was in a deep sleep, seemed to have heard her words as the finger by his side twitched slightly. Deep into the night, the courtyard was extremely quiet. In the room, the luminous pearls emitted a soft light that scattered into the room. One could faintly see two figures hugging each other as they slept on the bed in the inner room behind the gauze curtain. The next day, Fengzhou slept until noon. Guan Shilin and the others also knew that she was exhausted these 2 days, so no one came to disturb her. They just waited in the front yard for her to wake up. Ever since she came back, they hadn't been able to sit down and talk to her properly. How was she these past few years in the upper immortal realm? How did she get back here? Questions were swirling in their minds, and they were only waiting for answers to their questions. When Fengzhou walked out of her room after washing up, she was led to the front yard by Guan Shilin, who was wandering outside the courtyard. "Why is everyone here?" Fengzhou sat down at the head of the table and looked at them with raised eyebrows. "Hey, Xiaozhou, you know that we have a lot of questions to ask you. But, are you hungry? Do you want to eat something first?" Guan Shilin asked and sat beside her. "No need." Fengzhou smiled and looked at them, saying, "I know what you want to ask. It's rare for us to sit down and talk, so let's have a good chat." Chapter 5104. Hearing this, Fengzhou smiled and said, "Ever since I ascended, I have a celestial island in the upper immortal realm. In the past few years, I have been doing a lot of things. A few years ago, I wanted to crack the secret of the void enchantment and see if there was a way to connect the two realms. I have been researching for a few years now that she knew that they all wanted to know about her situation in the upper immortal realm, so she told them everything that had happened in the past few years. As they chatted, the whole afternoon passed by. It's already so late. Xiao Zhou, let's eat first. We have been talking for so long. You haven't eaten anything for the whole day. Guan Shilin said as he ordered the servants to prepare the meal. Everyone should have received the news of Master's return this time. Those who are familiar with Master will probably come soon. Du Fan said as he looked at Feng Zhou and asked, Master, how long do you plan to stay here? When they come, do you want to meet them? Feng Zhou smiled and said, since he's an acquaintance, I naturally have to meet him. Moreover, I won't be going back for a while. I'm going to choose a place to set up a teleportation formation. When the time comes, I'll be able to teleport to the upper immortal realm through the teleportation formation I set up. As she said this, she looked at everyone and smiled. This time, even if you don't have the strength to ascend, I can still bring you to the upper immortal realm. That's great. This way, we can follow Master again. Luo Yu smiled and his face was full of excitement. Qi Kong pondered for a moment and said, Master, if we all go to the upper immortal realm, what will happen to the various heaven realms and territories below? I am worried that if we all leave, the lower immortal realms will be in chaos. Now, they were in charge of several heaven realms. Because of them, the sovereigns of various heaven realms did not dare to act rashly. If it were not for this incident, they would have been safe and sound. However, if they left, they did not know what would happen. Hearing this, Feng Zhou took a sip of tea and moistened her throat. She said, Actually, I plan to. You are the leaders of the 8 great Phoenix Guards. Since you all have the ability to be independent, it doesn't matter if you follow me or not. Moreover, you all are in charge of various heaven realms. If you don't take care of them, you will not be able to find suitable people in a short time. She paused and continued, I think that you all can stay here. Ling Shuang-en and the others can follow me to the upper immortal realm. When the time comes, I set up a transmission array here, and the 2 places can be directly teleported back. There, you all don't have to follow me, you don't have to be with me. What do you think? Hearing this, Qi Kong and the others paused and looked at each other. Master had supported them to the position of sovereigns in the heaven realms in order to let them guard a region. If they left now, it was true that they would not be able to find a replacement in a short time. Moreover, it was impossible to just wash their hands of some things. For a moment, they all fell silent. Chapter 5105. So Master doesn't plan to take us to the immortal realm? Luo Yu said faintly. Compared to his previous enthusiasm, he seemed a little depressed at this moment. You can come with me or stay. You can go wherever I need you. She smiled, stood up, and said, in fact, I also need some people to mobilize in the immortal realm, so I must take Du Fan, Leng Hua, and Leng Shuang with me. As for the rest of you. She paused and said, you can stay here and guard first. After a while, you can go up after making sure that everything is calm. She looked at Guan Shilin and asked, Brother, are you going to the immortal realm? Guan Shilin laughed and said, I can go anywhere. But I thought that my adoptive father and grandfather are all here, and you don't live here, so I'll live next to them. If anything happens, I can take care of them. Hearing this, Feng Zhou nodded, came to his side and patted him on the shoulder, and said, I haven't been by their side all these years. Thank you for taking care of them for me. She knew that the Feng family's old mansion was the place where the Feng family lived for generations. Her grandfather and the others were reluctant to leave, and they would not be willing to leave now. Moreover, she also had her own plans. She felt that it was actually quite good for them to stay in the Feng family's old mansion. At least there would be no danger or trouble. A normal life was what people yearned for the most. We're family, don't be so polite. Who are we? He laughed and stood up, and said, Okay, I think the food is ready. Let's go eat first. We can talk whenever we want. Let's go. At this time, Ling Shuang stepped forward and said, I see that the sky is good tonight, so I asked someone to put dinner in the garden. Okay, then let's go to the garden. Fengjiu said with a smile and walked out with them. The news of Fengjiu's return seemed to have grown wings, flying to all the regions of the heaven realm. Not long after, everyone received the news. Just as Du Fan had expected, her close friends had also rushed over from all over the country, wanting to see her. On this day, after Fengjiu helped Immerse wipe his body, Ling Hua came to report. Master, Monarch Xian Wu is here to see you. Him. Fengjiu raised her eyebrows, and sneered, he's here for how, right? She walked to the stone table in the courtyard and sat a stone of the courtyard. She took a sip, and said, how's back, I don't see him. She couldn't stand How's biological parents. Back then, she had single-handedly raised the child and reluctantly sent him back to them. However, they didn't treat him well and instead made him suffer. Now, they still dared to come to her door. Yes. Ling Hua replied and turned to leave. Guan Shilin walked in and said, Xiao Zhou, I heard that Monarch Xian Wu is here. You didn't see him? No. Fengjiu shook her head and said, when I brought back, I told them that had nothing to do with them. Without what right does he have to let me see him? Guan Shilin sat down at the table and said, in the past few years, he has been to the Feng family's old residence a few times. My adoptive father said that he wanted to ask about Chapter 5106. Alright, let's not talk about him. I received news from my adoptive father that Feng Yi and Zhao Yang are here. We haven't seen each other for many years, so they wanted to meet you, Guan Shilin said. Oh. The two of them. Fengjiu was slightly startled, then smiled and said, speaking of which, I haven't seen them for many years. Feng Yi, that little uncle of hers. After not seeing him for so many years, he was probably also a handsome young man. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't seen Feng Yi for so many years, I wonder what he looks like now. She chuckled and looked at Guan Shilin, asking, the two of them aren't with their master anymore, right? No, they've been traveling around for the past 2 years. Guan Shilin smiled and said, because of you, most people don't dare to accept them as disciples. Moreover, the two of them are extremely talented. I estimate that they'll catch up with us in a few years. Oh. I see. She murmured softly. No one knew what she was thinking, but her fingers tapped lightly on the table. If grandfather and the others are willing, I can let them travel to the immortal world. Master, Luo Fei and the others are here. Ling Hua came in to report. He paused, then said, Monarch Black Tortoise refused to leave. He's been waiting outside, saying that he wants to see Master. Don't worry about him. If he wants to wait, let him wait. Fengjiu said, then asked, where are Luo Fei and the others? Du Fan and Bai Xiao are waiting in the front hall, saying that they don't want to disturb the Yama Lord's rest, Ling Hua said. Fengjiu nodded and said, all right, I'll go and see them. Hui Lang and Ying Yi can stay here and guard the room. Thus, she went to the front yard with them. In the front yard, Luo Fei and the others were waiting excitedly and said, how many years has it been since we last saw her? I didn't expect her to come back after she ascended. When I first heard the news, I thought it was fake news. Ning Lang also laughed and said, that's right. I even sent a message over to ask for confirmation. Only then did I know that she really came back. Duan Yi sat upright. He was dressed in luxurious black robes, and his entire person exuded a mature aura. However, at this moment, he was also faintly nervous and excited. From time to time, he would drink tea. In this short period of time, the maidservant had already refilled his tea twice. To them, Fengjiu was both a teacher and a friend. She was also an important guide in their lives. Back then, when they were still young, they were lucky to have met her and received her guidance. That was how they became who they were today. I didn't expect to see her again. It's been so many years, I wonder if she's still the same. Duan Yi said as he looked out of the hall from time to time. Song Ming smiled and said, after so many years, Fengzhou is still Fengzhou. She must be even more magnificent than before. Du Fan looked at them with a smile and said, Ling Hua has already gone to the backyard to invite Master over. When you see her later, you'll know if she's still the same as before. Du Fan, have many people come to visit during this period of time? When we first came in, we even saw the sovereign of the Black Tortoise waiting outside. Why was he turned away? Song Ming asked with slight surprise. Chapter 5107. Hearing this, the few people who wanted to ask more questions immediately looked outside the hall. When they saw the familiar figure slowly walking in, they couldn't help but stand up as well. They saw that the red figure was still as dazzling as in their memories. The familiar face and figure made them feel excited. Fengzhou. They called out in unison, and a smile appeared on their faces. Long time no see. How are you all? Fengzhou walked in with a smile. She looked at the four of them and nodded. Not bad. I haven't seen you for a few years. You seem to have matured a lot. You're still the same. You haven't changed much, Duan Yi said. No. You've changed. You've become more outstanding and reserved. Song Ming smiled and looked at her. Indeed, even though Fengzhou was still the Fengzhou they were familiar with, after so many years, they had all grown up. She had also grown up. She was no longer the mischievous and cunning girl. The precipitation of time had made her more elegant and reserved. We didn't expect to see you again. When we heard that you were back, we put down what we were doing and rushed over, Ning Lang said with a smile. He looked at her and said, Fengzhou, it's so good to see you. Yes. It's so good to see you. Luo Fei said. Hearing this, Fengzhou smiled and gestured for them to sit down. She said, I'm also very happy to see you all again. Speaking of which, it's better here. My familiar family and friends are all here. I just came back and all of you came to see me. When familiar friends gathered together, there was a lot of laughter. After sitting down, everyone chatted casually. Not long after, another burst of laughter came from outside. I knew it would be lively here. Listen, am I right? Wanyan Qianhua's voice came from outside. He seemed to be talking to someone. Hearing the voice, Fengzhou was slightly surprised. When she got up and walked out, she saw her sister and someone she hadn't seen for a long time. It was Wanyan 17. Ha ha ha, Fengzhou, do you still remember me? Wanyan 17 laughed heartily as he strode in. How could I forget you? Fengzhou chuckled and said, it's true that we haven't seen each other for a long time. Then, he looked at Wanyan Qianhua and asked, Sister, why did you come with him? I just went back to the Wanyan family and heard the news that you came back, so I wanted to come and see you. 17th uncle came with me. Wanyan Qianhua chuckled and glanced around. He saw many familiar faces and said, it seems that they all came to see you when they heard the news of your return. They've also just arrived. Come, have a seat inside, Fengzhou invited them in, while Luo Fei and the others stepped forward to greet them, and followed them in. Compared to the liveliness and laughter inside, the expression of the Black Tortoise monarch, who was rejected outside the residence, was somewhat gloomy. He knew that Fengzhou wouldn't necessarily see him this time, but he didn't expect that she would leave him here like this. To think that as a monarch, he was rejected outside the door. With such an awkward situation, it wasn't good to leave in a huff, but it wasn't good to leave in a huff either. He was in a dilemma. In the end, it was his mistake back then. If it weren't for what happened back then, he wouldn't have been treated so coldly today. Chapter 5108. Due to the arrival of many old friends and relatives, the manor was very lively these 2 days. However, Mose had not woken up yet. On this day, Fingzhou and the others had just stepped out of the door when the Black Tortoise Sovereign, who had been waiting outside for a few days, quickly walked over. Phoenix Master. He stepped forward and bowed. He looked at her as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. Seeing that he was still here, Fingzhou stopped and said to the people around her, "Go to the restaurant first. I'll be there in a while." After they left, she looked at the Black Tortoise Sovereign and asked, "Is there anything else? I want to see how, However, there hasn't been any news of him these few years, so. He looked at Fingzhou hesitantly. "Did Monarch Black Tortoise forget what I said when I took Hao away from you so quickly?" She looked at him, and her voice was indifferent as she said, "From today onwards, you have no right to question or care about Hao's matters. Moreover, he isn't by my side now. I sent him and my 2 children to be apprenticed to a master many years ago. Not to mention you, even I can't see him even if I wanted to." The Black Tortoise Sovereign was slightly startled and asked, "May I know who Hao's master is?" Fingzhou smiled and looked at him. She said, "I won't tell you who his master is. For the safety of the children, I keep their whereabouts a secret." She continued to walk forward. When she passed by him, she paused and said, "Don't come here in the future, and don't ask about him. When he grows up, if he still wants to acknowledge you, I won't stop him. But for now, I won't let you disturb his state of mind and hinder his cultivation." With that, she did not say anything else. She got into the carriage and went to the restaurant. The Black Tortoise Sovereign listened and stood there in a daze. No one knew what he was thinking. After a long time, he sighed deeply and turned to leave. At the restaurant, at the request of Wang Yanqianhua and the others, Fingzhou came out to meet them today. This was also the first time she went out on the street since she came back. Over the past few days, under the management of Qi Kong and the others, the situation had gradually stabilized. In some places where there were no monarchs, they were under Fingzhou's orders to promote talents to take charge of areas. On the other hand, the Heavenly Dan building was destroyed. Originally, Qi Kong and the others wanted to rebuild it, but Fingzhou said that there was no need. After entering the restaurant, they went up to the 2nd floor and sat down near the window. Fingzhou looked in the direction of the city gate and said with a smile, "We can see the city gate from here. If Feng Yi and the others come, we can also meet them here." Feng Yi and Zhao Yang said they would arrive today, so they should be here soon. "Let's chat and wait here," Guan Shilin said with a smile and ordered the dishes to be served. Everyone drank, ate, and chatted. Not far from the restaurant, there were many people craning their necks to watch. However, even though they wanted to see Fingzhou, they did not dare to disturb her. Luo Fei and the others were telling Fingzhou about what had happened in the past few years. Now, they had taken over everything in their families and even expanded their family business and power. It could be said that they had developed very well. "Oh right, I got married before the new year," Song Ming said with a smile. Chapter 5109. She's just an ordinary girl from an aristocratic family. She's a family friend of mine. We've known each other since we were young, Song Ming said with a smile, and when I got married, they already sent gifts on your behalf. Hearing this, Fingzhou smiled and looked at Luo Fei, Duan Yi, and Ning Lang. She asked, "What about you 3? We're still young, he. Ning Lang grinned and said, "And, I don't want to marry anyone. I just want to expand my family's business. I don't think about anything else." "We don't want to get married too early," Duan Yi and Luo Fei said at the same time. "What's so good about getting married? It's better to be alone." Someone like me is the most carefree. Wan Yan-Sher-san raised his wine cup and drank it. He laughed loudly and said, "Look at Zheng Zhishang, that otherworldly person. What's he like after getting married? He's taking care of his children at home now. What's wrong with my husband?" Wan Yan-Qianhua glanced at him and looked at him with a charming smile. "My husband is a good man that's hard to come by in 100 years. 13th uncle, if you dare to say anything bad about him again, I won't forgive you." "Yes, yes. Only your man is a treasure. Everyone else is grass." Wan Yan-Sher-san disagreed. Fengjiu couldn't help but chuckle when she heard this. She said, "Not to mention Zheng Zhishang, Mo's also raised 3 children by himself back then. Besides, who said that men can't raise children?" As she said this, she glanced at Wan Yan-Sher-san with a faint smile. Seeing her glance, Wan Yan-Sher-san laughed embarrassedly. Hee, no, no. Being able to raise children is the standard of a good man. Perhaps there were people who didn't believe that Fengjiu, who had ascended, had returned. However, when they saw her appear in the restaurant, they believed that she had really returned. As soon as the afternoon passed, 2 figures walked in from outside the city gate. When he saw the 2 figures, Guan Shilin couldn't help but smile. He said to Fengjiu, "Xiaojiu, look, they're here." At the same time, he stood up and waved towards the city gate, shouting, "Here." Fengjiu followed his gaze and saw Feng Yi in a purple robe. He had the appearance of an elegant noble young master. His face had already matured, and he looked like the outstanding members of the Feng family. His entire person exuded a noble and unrestrained aura. Beside him was Xiao Yang, who was wearing a black robe. His aura was restrained and steady, and he carried a sword on his back. Although his face was not as handsome as Feng Ye's, he was resolute and tough. Perhaps they heard the sound and looked over. When they faintly saw the red figure, excitement and joy appeared in their eyes. They looked at each other and directly rushed forward. "Xiao Jiu." Feng Yi directly jumped up and landed beside the table. He smiled at Fengjiu. Fengjiu raised her eyebrows and looked at Feng Yi with a faint smile. "Feng Yi, are you itching for a beating?" Hee, Jiu. Feng Yi showed a flattering smile and stepped forward. "I haven't seen you for so many years. I miss you so much." While speaking, he moved a chair to her side and sat down. "Sister Feng." Zhao Yang stepped forward and respectfully saluted her. Chapter 51:10. Okay, we've learned a lot during our travels. Our lives have been very fulfilling, Xiao Yang said. Xiao Yang said. Although his voice sounded calm, the excitement in his heart and the joy in his eyes could not be concealed. "That's good." Fengjiu nodded, then looked at Feng Yi. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and his voice was slightly raised. "Little Uncle Feng Yi." Ha. Hearing this, Feng Ye's hair stood on end. He smiled embarrassedly and hurriedly said, "Ah Jiu, just call me Feng Yi. You don't have to call me little uncle." I'm getting goosebumps when I hear it. Although it was true that he was her little uncle, in front of her, he did not have the slightest trace of an uncle's attitude. On the contrary, he had been in awe of her since they were young. Although his seniority was higher than hers, he was younger than her. Her calling him little uncle made his heart fluster. "Since we're here, let's go back first." Fengjiu stood up and said to Wan Yan-Qianhua and the others, "You can continue to sit here. I have to go back and see Mo's." "Okay, then you go back first." "We'll go back later," Wan Yan-Qianhua said. "Okay," Fengjiu responded, then looked at Feng Yi and Zhao Yang, and said, "You two, come back with me." "Okay." The two did not dare to say more and directly responded. After greeting everyone, they went back with Fengjiu. Du Fan, Ling Shuang, and Leng Hua also went back with them. As for the others, they stayed. They went back to the mansion first, and Fengjiu took them to see Mose. Then, she sat in the courtyard and asked them about what had happened over the years. After listening to their experiences over the years, she finally paused and said, "Actually, when we came back this time, I planned to take you to the immortal realm to cultivate. What do you think?" Hearing this, the two were slightly surprised and asked, "Can we go?" "Yes, now that I've broken the void barrier, I've found a way to travel back and forth. As long as you want, I can bring you up. Of course, I'll need grandfather and the others to agree." Fengjiu looked at the two and said, "Both of you are extremely talented. Even in the immortal world, you can be considered dragons and phoenixes among men. If you go up to cultivate, it will only be better for you." Hearing this, the two of them looked at each other and said in unison, "We want to go." Fengjiu smiled and said, "Stay here for the next few days. In a few days, I will take you to the Feng family's old residence." "All right." The two of them revealed looks of joy as they asked, "Are the people from the immortal realm all very strong? Are they all very powerful?" "Some are strong and some are weak. The only difference is that some are born with a divine fetus, so they have a higher starting point than others," she said slowly. Seeing the two of them curious, she said, "You'll know when you go there in the future. I'll ask Lang Shuang to tell the kitchen to make some food for you. Go back and have a good rest." "Yes." The two of them answered and then followed Lang Shuang out. After they left, Du Fan asked, "Master, the Yama Lord is still not awake. When the time comes, will we take him to the Feng family's old residence?" Chapter 51:11. As she spoke, she couldn't help but sigh. "I just don't know what will happen to the Black Lotus after he wakes up. Everything will be fine when it comes to it. Master need not worry too much." "I hope so." She turned back to look at the room and strode in. She said to Ying Yi and Hui Lang who were guarding the room, "You two go and rest. I'll take care of things here." The two of them looked at each other and said, "Madam, we're not tired. Let us stand guard." They paused and said, "We'll stand guard outside the room." As they spoke, they left the room and stood at the door. When Fengjiu saw this, she didn't say anything. She just sat down by the bed and looked at the unconscious Mose. She held his hand and said softly, "Ah Zay, hurry and wake up. The world's scenery is picturesque, but without your company, no matter how beautiful the scenery is, it will be in vain." When she finished speaking, the hand she was holding seemed to move slightly. She was startled and her face froze for a moment. She looked down and saw that his fingers didn't move at all. But just now, she clearly felt his fingers move. "Ah Zay, can you hear me?" When her voice fell, she stared at the hand she was holding. Sure enough, she saw that the hand moved slightly again. Although it was a very small movement, it was undoubtedly a surprise to her. "You really heard me. Are you regaining consciousness already? That's great." She couldn't help but smile. Immediately, she channeled her spiritual energy into her palm, and the energy of the green lotus was channeled into his body along with her. Perhaps it was because of the green lotus's energy, the black lotus on his chest didn't seem to dare to move. It was quietly branded there, without a trace of energy leaking out. This time, Fengjiu transferred the power of the green lotus until evening. She only stopped when the sky turned dark. Because she had used up too much of the power of the green lotus, a layer of sweat appeared on her forehead. With a flip of her hand, she took out an elixir from her space and swallowed it. Then, she helped Mose feel his pulse. She felt the strong beating of his pulse under her fingers and the corners of her lips curled up. That night, she leaned against his side and fell asleep until the next morning. The morning sun shone in from outside the window. The two people on the bed in the room snuggled up to each other, warm and peaceful. Xianyuan Mose felt as if he had slept for a long time. His eyelids were very heavy. He wanted to lift them, but couldn't. At this moment, he felt an itch on his face. It was as if a strand of hair on his face. He wanted to open his eyes to take a look or raise his hand to push the strand of hair on his face. His eyelashes fluttered gently like the fluttering of a butterfly. Not long after, his eyes, which had not been opened for several years, slowly opened at this moment. His consciousness gradually returned, especially the scenes before he lost consciousness and fell into darkness. The moment he opened his eyes, it was as if seawater had poured into his mind, causing him to quickly recall everything. He's still alive. At that moment, he was slightly startled, as if he had thought of something. His hand moved slightly and clenched into a fist. That feeling came from the palm of his hand, accompanied by a somewhat weak power, but it gave him a familiar feeling. Yes, he was still alive. Although he didn't know why, he was still alive. Chapter 51:12. The sunlight shone on her face, casting a shadow under her long eyelashes. Her peaceful and beautiful sleeping face, her complete dependence on him, made him want to lean over and kiss her delicate red lips. However, she woke up as soon as he moved slightly. Ah, Zay. Fengjiu instinctively jumped up and sat up. When she saw the person who was originally asleep had opened his deep black eyes, looking at her with a smile and deep affection, she could not help but be stunned. Her mind went blank for a moment, as if she could not react. Did you go silly from joy? Xianyuan Mose asked. His deep voice was hoarse, and there was a trace of a teasing smile. Perhaps she had slept for too long, but when she woke up, she felt her throat dry and her voice was hoarse. Fengjiu felt a lump in her throat. Looking at his smiling face, she tried her best to hold back the tears that were about to fall from her eyes. She threw herself on the bed and hugged him tightly. Ah, Say. You're finally awake. I missed you so much. Hearing her nasal voice, Xianyuan Mose's heart melted into a ball. His heart ached and he blamed himself. He hugged her with both hands and gently stroked her head with one hand. In a low voice, he said, "It's my fault, I made you worry. It's good that you're awake, it's good that you're awake." As Fengjiu spoke, she seemed to remember something. She quickly withdrew from his embrace and sat by the bed. She asked nervously, "Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose paused for a moment, then said, "I only feel like there's an extra force in my body, and my spirit has become much stronger." As he spoke, he sat up and felt that he was the same as before. It was as if there were no injuries on his body, and there was nothing wrong with him. On the contrary, he even felt that his strength had increased, and his spirit had become much stronger. Just as he was about to use his divine sense to check his body, he saw Fengjiu suddenly step forward and pull open his clothes, revealing his strong and firm chest muscles. His eyes flashed, and he raised his eyebrows slightly. He looked at her with a hint of teasing and said, "What do you want to see? Just tell me and I'll strip naked for you to see." Fengjiu wasn't in the mood to banter with him. After taking off his clothes, she saw that the black lotus on his sturdy chest was gone. She couldn't help but open her eyes wide and search his body. Where did he go? Where did he go? He watched as she tugged at his shirt. She looked at his chest, pulled down his shirt to check his back, and then looked at his arm as if she was looking for something. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mose could not help laughing and said, "What are you looking for? What do I have on me? What's gone?" "The black lotus, the ancient black lotus, was originally here on your chest, but now it's gone." Fengjiu raised his head to look at him, and said, "Use your divine soul to search, you should be able to find where that black lotus is hiding. It's branded in your divine soul, so it definitely can't run away." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose was surprised. "Black lotus? You're talking about the black lotus from before?" "Yes, it's a long story. Look for it first and see if it's still there. I'll tell you the details later." Fengjiu said, holding his hand and looking at him worriedly. Chapter 51:13. Hearing her words and seeing the worry on her face, Mose nodded and said, "Don't worry, I'll look for it." With that, he closed his eyes and used his spirit to search his body. Fengjiu watched from the side. After a while, seeing him open his eyes, she hurriedly asked, "How is it?" Xianyuan Mose's eyes moved slightly. He looked at her and said, "There is indeed an ancient black lotus, but it's hidden in the corner of my spirit. It's not a fully bloomed black lotus, but a flower bud. Hidden in the corner." Fengjiu was slightly surprised. She was somewhat surprised. "Yes." Xianyuan Mose replied. He leaned against the bed and said, "If I didn't try to feel it, I almost couldn't sense its existence. However, what is going on? Why is there a black lotus in my body? And how long have I been asleep?" Hearing him say that the black lotus was hidden in the corner and did not have any negative effects on him, Fengjiu sighed in relief. Then she smiled and said, "Then we have to start from when you failed to advance." She stood up and poured a cup of water for him. Then she said, "Drink some water to moisten your throat. I'll tell you slowly." Thus, the two of them sat on the bed and drank water. One of them sat on the bed and talked about the events of the past few years. She told him all the things that he did not know one by one. They talked until afternoon. "It's like this. I found that after you swallowed that spirit, the black lotus was branded in your heart. Seeing that you didn't wake up, I was worried that the black lotus would have some effect on you. But now that you're awake and the black lotus has no effect on you, I'm relieved." Fengjiu said and drank from his cup. "I see." He nodded and sighed softly. "I didn't expect that I would owe Tian Jizi such a great favor. It's a pity that he's no longer here." Fengjiu stood up and said, "All right, let's not talk about anything else. We'll always remember his kindness. You just woke up, don't keep lying down. I'll get someone to prepare some food. I'll accompany you to the courtyard to bask in the sun." Then she smiled and said, "They'll be very happy to hear that you're awake." "Yes," he replied, the corners of his lips curling up slightly. After washing up, Fengjiu left the room. When the door opened, she saw Hui Lang and Ning Yi looking at her excitedly. "Madam, did Master wake up? We thought we heard you talking inside." "Yes, he's awake. Go in and take a look." She smiled and went to the courtyard. She, Ling Shuang, "Master, have the kitchen staff prepare some porridge, make it bland and bring it here." "Okay." Ling Shuang replied. He was happy to hear that the Yama Lord had woken up. When Ling Shuang went to the kitchen, he met Leng Hua and Du Fan. He told them that the Yama Lord had woken up. Not long after, everyone in the residence heard the good news. "That's great. This time, Xiaojiu doesn't have to worry anymore." Guan Shilin smiled and walked towards the main courtyard with Wanyan Qianhua and the others. When everyone was walking towards the main courtyard, a phoenix guard quickly came in to report to Qi Kong. When Qi Kong heard the phoenix guard's words, he couldn't help but be surprised. He called out, "Du Fan, Fan Lin, come with me." Chapter 51:14. Qing Qing is back. She was sent back by Hun Yuanzi and Zhou Junyue. "I heard from the Phoenix Guard that she was injured. Come with me to take a look. We'll report back to Master later," Qi Kong said in a low voice. Hearing this, the two were slightly surprised and immediately followed him out. Du Fan said, "How did Qing Qing get injured?" "She went to the Pan family in the mortal world. No one should be able to hurt her there." In the mortal world, the Pan family that Master had promised to protect for 3 generations had met with some trouble. At that time, they were busy and could not leave, so they sent Qing Qing there. They thought that with her strength, it would be more than enough to deal with the matters in the mortal world. They did not expect that she would be injured and come back. Naturally, no one in the mortal world can hurt her. Unless it's a cultivator whose cultivation is higher than hers. Fan Lin said as he walked forward. He was a little surprised and said, but why did she meet Hun Yuanzi and Zhou Junue? Zhou Junue was the descendant of Master's master. Because of Master, the Zhou family was now a first-class family. Zhou Junue's cultivation was not weak either. He was a powerful cultivator and usually did not interact with them. Could it be that he heard that Master had returned, so he came to take a look? You'll know when you see them. Qi Kong said as he strode to the front yard. There, Hun Yuanzi was eating snacks and drinking tea with his legs crossed. Zhou Junue was standing there with Bai Qingqing on his back. No one put her down. They're here, they're here. Hun Yuanzi drank a mouthful of tea and swallowed the snacks. He saw the three of them but did not see Fingzhou. He hurriedly asked, why are you here? Where's Fingzhou? I heard that she came back, so I came here specially. Senior. The three of them cupped their hands and bowed to him. They smiled and said, Master is in the backyard. We haven't reported to Master yet, so we came to take a look. As they spoke, they looked at Zhou Junue who was carrying Bai Qingqing on his back and asked, what's going on? Why are you with Qingqing? As he spoke, Fan Lin had already stepped forward and reached out to take Bai Qingqing's pulse. He was slightly stunned when he felt her pulse. He opened her palm and saw a red line extending from her palm to her arm. He then pulled her sleeve up a little. When he saw the red line on her fair arm, his brows furrowed slightly. She has been poisoned, and her internal injuries are not light. But. On the way, but. On. We. Hearing this, Du Fan, Qi Kong, and Fan Lin's eyes flickered. Sovereign. Which monarch would dare to attack them? Could it be, suddenly, they had some guesses. Chapter 51:15. You're welcome, Zhou Junue said. He was still as quiet as ever. However, because of Fan Lin's request, he turned his back to Fan Lin and was ready to hand Bai Qingqing over to him. He's been carrying her all the way. Why don't we let him carry her to the courtyard? Han Yuanzi said. He looked at Zhou Junue and then looked at the unconscious Bai Qingqing on his back. He gave a wretched smile. Zhou Junue glanced at him and said nothing. When Fan Lin heard this, his hand paused. He smiled and said, then I'll have to trouble you, Brother Zhou. I'll go and inform my master, Du Fan said with a smile. He looked at Han Yuanzi and said, Senior, do you want to come along? Yama Lord has just woken up. Many people have gathered in the main courtyard. Sure. I'll go and meet him, Han Yuanzi said and followed Du Fan. Fan Lin from Qi Kong brought Zhou Junue to the guest house. When they arrived at the guest house, Fan Lin helped Bai Qingqing lie flat on the bed as he checked the injuries on her body. However, because she was a woman, he did not check the injuries on her body. How many knife wounds are there on her body? Those shouldn't be too serious. It's probably her internal injuries that are more serious. Zhou Junue said and paused for a moment. Then, he said, but I saw her take a pill earlier. Yes. Fortunately, she took the pill. Otherwise, she wouldn't have made it here if her injuries were too serious. Fan Lin said and looked at the red bloodline on her palm. He was puzzled. How did she get poisoned? Not long after, Fengzhou came. When she entered the room, she saw Zhou Junue, whom she had not seen for a long time. When she saw her, she smiled and greeted her, long time no see. Long time no see. Zhou Junue said and looked at her. Then, he said, I heard that you're back. The old man asked me to come and see you. Fengjiu smiled and walked forward. I just saw Han Yuanzi. He's still the same. Then, she looked at him and smiled. You too. He wasn't good with words and didn't know what to say to her, so he didn't say anything and just stood to the side. At this moment, Fan Lin said, Master, come and take a look at this cup in Qingqing. Qi Kong, Du Fan, help me greet them, Fengjiu said to the two people beside him. The two of them smiled and looked at Zhuo Junyue. We'll accompany you to meet the others. Everyone is in the main courtyard. All right, Zhuo Junyue replied. He nodded at Fengjiu and followed them out. After they left, Qin Axian came in with water, and Fan Lin also left. After putting the water beside the bed, Qin Axian took off Bai Qingqing's clothes under Fengjiu's signal. Looking at Bai Qingqing, who was lying on the bed with a lot of injuries on her body, she was worried and blamed herself. How could you be injured like this when you went out? It's our fault. We should have gone with her. Maybe she met with an accident on the way. You can't blame anyone for this. Fortunately, her life isn't in danger. Fengjiu said and let Qin Axian bandage the wounds on Bai Qingqing's body. At the same time, he checked the cup in her body. Looking at the red bloodline that extended from her palm to her arm towards her heart, Fengjiu's fingers moved slightly. Her slender fingers gently rested on her pulse to find the cupworm that was lurking in her body. Chapter 51:16. Found it. Fengjiu stared at the back of her ear and frowned slightly, but this goo worm is a little big, so it's not easy to draw it out. Then what should we do? Qin Axian couldn't help but ask. Fengjiu stared at the goo worm wriggling in the flesh behind her ear. After thinking for a while, he said, draw it to the bottom and dig it out. Hearing this, Qin Axian couldn't help but look at the unconscious Qin Qing and asked, Master, what do you need to prepare? I'll go and prepare. Just find a few strips of cloth. Fengjiu said while holding Qin Cheng's hand. A trace of the power of the green lotus was transferred into her body. However, this trace of power of the green lotus was like a fishing line, slowly extending from her arm. Do you see this floating goo worm? I'll draw it down. After it comes down, tie it tightly with a strip of cloth on the top of your arm and tie it with a belt at a short distance. Untie it one by one. Okay. Qin Axian responded and stared at the position of the goo worm. The goo worm was hidden in the flesh and didn't protrude. It only bulged slightly in the slightly moving parts. Moreover, it sometimes sank and hid in the flesh, so it was difficult to find. Qin Axian saw the goo worm moving little by little under the flesh. When it reached the arm, she began to tie it up with the strip of cloth. As the strip of cloth tightened, the goo worm bulged more and more and could be seen more clearly. Fengjiu pressed it with one hand. When the goo worm reached her lower arm, she instantly cut her arm with the dagger in her hand. At the same time, she flicked the tip of the dagger and a golden goo worm flew out. Whoosh! A silver needle shot out, piercing the goo worm and nailing it to the wall. Glancing at the goo worm, Fengjiu raised his hand and used the power of the green lotus to heal the wound on her arm. The wound healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fengjiu fed her another medicinal pill and then said to Qin Axian, disperse the smell of blood in this room. She should wake up at night. Keep an eye on her. Yes. Qin Axian responded and cleaned up the room. She opened the window to disperse the smell of blood in the room. She saw her master take out the silver needle that was nailed to the wall and stared at the cup bug. Master, is the goo poison in her body considered cured? Yes, she'll be fine once the goblet is taken out. However, her body is still weak, so she needs to rest for a few days. Fengjiu put away the bug and threw it into the space. He told Qin Axian to take care of Qingqing and then left. Because Mose had woken up, everyone in the main courtyard gathered to chat. The arrival of Han Yuan made the atmosphere even livelier. However, when Fengjiu returned, everyone had already gone to the garden. After all, Mose had just woken up and no one wanted to disturb his rest. Therefore, when Fengjiu returned to the main courtyard, only Leng Hua, Leng Shuang, and Hui Lang were there. "Mose, are you tired? Do you want to rest first?" Fengjiu came in and asked. His gaze fell on him in the courtyard. "No need. My body is gradually recovering. It's fine," he said and reached out his hand. Fengjiu reached out and held his hand. He led him to sit down in the courtyard. The others automatically retreated to the courtyard door to guard. "When do you plan to go back to the Feng family's old residence?" he asked. Chapter 51:17. "Okay, then we'll set off in a few days. Now that I'm awake, you don't have to worry about things here. However, if people in the immortal realm know that you're here, I'm afraid they'll cause trouble," Xianyuan Mo said. "Don't worry, it'll be fine. I've already arranged everything when I came down. However, when I go up this time, I'll have to settle some accounts with some people." Her voice was calm, but one could hear the killing intent in her words. "You can also wait for me to go up before you settle accounts with those people," he said. "I'm currently suppressing my ascension, but with the tempering of the heavenly lightning last time, it should be much easier this time. Do you need me to stay with you?" Fengjiu held his hand and asked. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo's lips curled up. He looked at her and said, "Don't worry. This time, I won't make you worry." He could feel the powerful force hidden in his body. It was stronger than before. "When the time comes, let's leave Qi Kong and the others behind. We can't all leave. We have to leave them here to guard. First, they can protect the Feng family's old residence. Second, they can guard the various realms and prevent others from taking advantage of the situation." Hearing this, Fengjiu nodded. "Yes, that's what I plan to do." The two chatted in the courtyard and talked about their plans for the future. At night, everyone gathered together for dinner. Fengjiu looked at Zhuo Junue, who was sitting next to Han Yuan, and asked, "Junue, you still don't have plans to get married? Do you have a girl you like?" Zhuo Junue was drinking wine. After hearing her words, he paused and said, "No. You're a taciturn gourd. Your brain isn't bright at all." Han Yuan glanced at him and chuckled. He said to Fengjiu, "Little Feng, there are many beautiful and capable girls around you. Why don't you matchmake him?" Hearing this, the people present couldn't help but glance at each other. For a moment, their eyes fell on Qin Xan and Leng Shuang. Qingqing and Feifei hadn't fully recovered from their injuries, so they didn't come tonight. "Who do you have your eyes on? Where are the people around me?" Fengjiu glanced at Zhuo Junue with a faint smile. When he saw that Zhuo Junue was just drinking his wine, his smile deepened. "Ha ha ha, who doesn't know that the girls around you are the best? I wonder who will be lucky enough to marry them." Han Yuan laughed. Fengjiu took a sip of wine and said, "I don't randomly choose Mandarin ducks. They have to be willing. If anyone has the ability to make them agree, not only will I not stop them, I will also give them a big gift and let them marry grandly. Sigh, it's a pity that this old man is too old. I'm no longer as handsome as I was back then." Han Yuan sighed and stroked his beard. Fengjiu almost spat out the wine in her mouth when she heard that he was no longer as handsome as he was back then. She coughed lightly and put down her wine cup. She smiled and said, "It's a pity that I can't see you as handsome as you were back then." When she said this, everyone couldn't help but laugh. That night, everyone laughed and fooled around. It wasn't until late at night that they returned to their courtyards to rest. Chapter 51:18. This time, Fengjiu only brought Du Fan, Leng Hua, and Leng Shuang with her. The others stayed behind. For example, Chi Kong and the other leaders of the 8 Phoenix Guards had to stay behind to guard, so they couldn't go with her. On the other hand, Qin Xin and Fan Lin were a couple that everyone had a tacit understanding of. Naturally, she would not allow them to ascend to the immortal world. As for Bai Qingqing and Yi Feifei, she felt that it was better for them to remain in the lower realm with their strength and cultivation. Moreover, she also had a selfish motive. She hoped that they could spend more time with Qi Kong and the others. If they liked each other, they could become a couple. She was going to take Feng Yi and Zhao Yang to the immortal world, but she didn't know if her grandfather and the others would agree, so she let them go with her. Her brother, Guan Shilin, naturally went back with them. As for the people who were left behind, they were a little depressed when they saw them leave. Especially by Qingqing and Yi Feifei. They also wanted to stay by their master's side, but their master made them stay. Even so, they unconditionally obeyed their master's decision and acted according to her orders. This time, when they went back, they first went to see Xianyuan Mo's father, and then went straight to the Feng family's old mansion. If it was a usual flying sword or flying ship, it would take at least half a month. But this time, because of Fengzhou, they only took a few days to return to the Feng family's old mansion. Because they didn't want to cause too much commotion and didn't want to alarm the people in the city, they waited until nightfall to quietly go to the Feng family's old mansion. "Ah, Joe, do you think we should just climb over the wall and go in? Or knock on the door?" Feng Yi asked with a pair of peach blossom eyes with a smile, looking at Fengzhou beside him. Fengzhou glanced at him and said, "Go back to your own home and climb over the wall. Go knock on the door." Okay, Feng Yi said. He was about to go up and knock on the door, but he suddenly stopped. He saw that on the wall of the Feng family's gate, there was a sudden sound of something jumping on the wall. In the night, Feng Yi looked over and saw a green chicken flapping its wings and stretching its neck. It stared at Fengzhou with a pair of eyes. The next moment, it screamed. "Ah! Master is back! Master is back! Am I seeing things? Master is back!" That sharp voice was filled with excitement and surprise. It stood on the wall and shouted while flapping its wings. "Green." Fengzhou was slightly stunned. She stared at the green-feathered chicken that had been raised to become very fat. Only then did she realize that not only was it fat, but it was also much bigger. "Ah! Master is calling. Master! Master! I almost forgot I have such a master." Green excitedly flapped its wings on the wall. Just when Fengzhou thought it was going to jump down, he saw it turn around and jump into the inner courtyard. He could faintly hear the sound of it running and the screams coming from its mouth. "Master's mother, Master's father, Master's grandfather. Green's master is back. She's back. Come and see." Hearing the voice coming from inside, Fengzhou's mouth twitched. This time, there was no need to report. The whole family probably knew she was back. "Who is it in the middle of the night?" The gatekeeper's voice came from inside. There was a hint of sleepiness in his voice. Perhaps he was woken up by Green, or perhaps he heard the commotion outside. Chapter 51:19. Eldest young miss. The gatekeeper was so excited that his voice stuttered. He was an old member of the Feng family. Even though he hadn't seen her for many years, he still recognized Fengzhou at a glance. "Eldest young miss, son-in-law, second master, you're all back. I'll immediately go report to the family head, I'll immediately report." Saying this, he didn't even wait for them to speak before excitedly running inside. Fengzhou faintly smiled and shook her head, saying, "It seems that I've disturbed grandfather's good sleep tonight." She knew that coming back at night would disturb their sleep. However, if she didn't come back at night, it would be too conspicuous during the day. "We haven't seen each other in so many years. Now that you're back, you definitely won't be able to sleep. Xianyuan Mose hugged her waist and walked inside with her. Guan Shilin and the others also walked inside. It was also because Green Hair was running around crazily and shouting non-stop that almost everywhere its voice went, the lights were lit up. The originally quiet Feng family became lively because of their arrival. The commotion in the middle of the night, in addition to Green Hair's shouts, naturally alarmed some of the families near the Feng family. Feng Sanyuan heard Green Hair's shouts, put on a coat, and hurriedly left the room. Once he left the room, he asked, "Is Feng girl back? Is Feng girl back?" Family head, eldest young miss is in the front yard. A hidden guard quickly came out to report, also, son-in-law and second master have returned with eldest young miss. Good, good, good. It's good that they're back. It's good that they're back. Feng Sanyuan said excitedly. He strode out of the courtyard while shouting behind him, "Sushi, Feng girl and the others are back. I'll go to the front yard first." Sushi finished putting on her clothes and came out. Her face was still a bit sleepy, but when she heard that Fengzhou and the others had returned, she was happy and quickly went to the front yard. She ordered the servant girl beside her, "Go to the main yard and see if the family head and the others know. Inform them." "Yes." The maidservant hurriedly responded and quickly walked towards the main courtyard. Feng Xiao and his wife also got up after hearing Green Hair's words. Feng Xiao put on his clothes and said excitedly, "Did you hear that? They said Xiao Jiu is back. I haven't seen her in so many years. It's good that she's back, it's good that she's back." Shangguan Wanru's voice was slightly choked. She hurriedly put on her clothes and went to the front yard with him. The entire residence was brightly lit, and the sound of servants moving about could be heard. They were busy serving tea and water. The secret guards and bodyguards could not help but come to the front courtyard, wanting to see Fengzhou. At this time, Feng Sanyuan walked over with large strides. Before he arrived, his voice had already reached the front yard. "Little Feng. Little Feng. Grandpa." When Fengzhou saw him, she was slightly surprised. Because with the increase in his strength, his appearance had already recovered to his peak. However, seeing him this time, he was the familiar white-bearded grandpa. "Grandpa, I missed you so much." She went up and hugged him. Only when she saw them did she feel the warmth of a family member. "Grandpa missed you too. You girl, how many years have you been gone? Grandpa often missed you and hoped that you would come back to see Grandpa." Feng Sanyuan sighed and patted her back, saying, "It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back." Chapter 51:20. Ha 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 ha. When Feng Sanyuan heard this, he stroked his beard and laughed, saying, "Now, your grandfather's state of mind can't be compared to back then. At this level, I can change my appearance as I wish." As he said this, he patted her shoulder and sighed in distress. Feng girl, you don't know, your grandfather is too young. Last time, someone even mistook me for your father's son." Pfft. When Fengzhou heard this, he couldn't help but laugh. Even the others in the hall couldn't help but laugh when they heard this. That's right, Feng Xiao had a strong and sturdy appearance. Moreover, he had always maintained his appearance even when he was middle-aged. On the other hand, after the old man's strength advanced and his appearance became younger, people who didn't know would really mistake the two of them when they stood together. "Father, with your current appearance, people who don't know would think you're my grandfather," Feng Yi said with a grin. "You brat, you still know how to go home. If Feng girl didn't bring you back, who knows where you'd be going crazy." Feng Sanyuan snorted and scolded in a bad mood. When he heard this, Feng Yi rubbed his nose and retreated to his mother's side. "Mother, your son missed you." As he said this, he hugged her. When Feng Sanyuan saw this, he glared at him and stepped forward to pull him out of Su Shi's embrace. "How old are you already?" You're still burrowing into your mother's embrace, aren't you ashamed? Ha 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 ha. When Guan Shilin saw this scene, he couldn't help but laugh loudly. On his side, everyone's faces also revealed smiles as they looked at Feng Sanyuan and the others with interest. Sushi also smiled and patted Feng Ye's hand. Then, she looked at Fengzhou and Xianyuan Mose and warmly said, Mose, has your body recovered? Why didn't you tell me you were coming back? You must be tired from the journey, right? My body has already recovered. Coming back so late, I didn't let you all sleep well. Xianyuan Mose said. It's good that you're back. Come, have a seat. Feng Sanyuan gestured and walked towards the main seat. He saw Feng Xiao and Shengguan Wanru walking over together. He smiled at Fengzhou and said, Your parents are here. Xiao Zhou. Feng Xiao called out loudly, holding Shengguan Wanru's hand as the two of them walked in with large strides. Father, mother. Fengzhou greeted him, but when she saw the clothes her father was wearing, she couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then, she pursed her lips into a smile. Feng Xiao, you're already over 50 years old. Why are you still wearing your clothes inside out? Feng Sanyuan stroked his beard and stared at him with a smile. Ah. At this time, Feng Xiao and Shengguan Wanru finally reacted. They glanced at their clothes and realized that they had indeed worn their outerwear inside out. Shengguan Wanru said softly, It's all my fault. Once I heard that Xiao Jiu was back, I didn't help him look after his clothes. The two of them left in a hurry. Ha ha ha, it's fine. We'll just change back when we get back. I didn't notice. Feng Xiao laughed loudly and didn't mind. Instead, he looked at his daughter in front of him and said, Xiao Jiu, how did you come back? Didn't you ascend? How can you still come back? Sit down and talk. Sit down and talk. Feng Sanyuan shouted, indicating for them to sit down. Chapter 51-21. Guan Shilin lived next door and often saw them, unlike them who left for a few years, so he just stood aside and looked at them. Okay, we're all family. There's no need to be so formal. Feng Sanyuan waved his hand and said. Xiao Jiu, tell us about what happened to you in the past few years. And Mose, it's been a few years since his accident. Is his body fully recovered now? Feng Xiao asked. Mose's body has recovered, and his soul has become even stronger. You don't have to worry about him. As for the past few years in the immortal realm, Fengzhou said slowly. He knew that they were concerned about what happened to him in the past few years, so he gave them a rough explanation to make them feel at ease. They chatted until the sky gradually brightened. So this time, I'm preparing to set up this transportation array at the Peach Blossom Cove. Also, I want to bring Feng Yi and Zhao Yang to the immortal realm. What do you think? Fengzhou looked at them and said. Hearing this, Feng Xiao and Shengguan Wanru didn't say anything. Feng Sanyuan and Sushi looked at each other and pondered for a while. Dad, Mom, Audiobook said that we can go to the immortal realm. We also want to go and broaden our horizons. Let us go. Feng Yi looked at the two of them and said with anticipation in his eyes. What do you think? Feng Sanyuan looked at Sushi and asked. He naturally doted on Feng Yi, who was born at an old age, especially since this child didn't always stay by their side. If he wasn't cultivating in the mountains, he would travel around. Now that he said that he wanted to go to the immortal realm, to be honest, he was still a little worried. I'll listen to you. You can decide. Sushi said with a gentle smile on her face. She trusted him wholeheartedly. Then go. As Feng Sanyuan spoke, he glanced at Feng Yi and Zhao Yang, then said to Fengzhou, It's good to let them go up and broaden their horizons. However, you can't let them use your reputation to run amok outside. Fengjiu smiled, glanced at Feng Ye's Xiaoyang, and said, "Grandpa, don't worry. I know. I'm going to send them to the sect for a few years." "That's great." Feng Yi smiled and said, "But do we still need to go to the sect?" "Actually, it's fine for us to travel and cultivate by ourselves. Listen to Feng Girl's arrangements. Otherwise, I won't let you go." Feng Sanyuan glared at him and said. Feng Yi moved his mouth, looked at his father, and then looked at Fengjiu. He sighed and said faintly, "I really don't have any dignity as a little uncle. How can a little uncle listen to his little niece?" Fengjiu laughed and patted his shoulder, saying, "When you can beat me one day, it'll be my turn to listen to you." It would have been better if she didn't say this. Once she said this, Feng Ye's shoulders slumped, and he said weakly, "Then I have no hope." Ha 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 ha. In the hall, everyone laughed. Laughter came from the hall, and the guards outside heard it. They couldn't help but be curious about what was going on inside. "I've asked someone to prepare breakfast. Eat something and go rest first," Shengguan Wanru said and looked at them. "Okay." Chapter 51-22. Guan Shilin returned home first, while everyone else went to eat breakfast first. The servants, secret guards, and guards in the manor followed everyone out of the hall. When they saw Fengjiu, who they hadn't seen for a long time, they were all excited and wanted to go up and greet her. Although the Feng family didn't spread the news, the other families in the city also faintly heard the news. However, even if they were curious and wanted to visit, they didn't dare to suddenly disturb them. After breakfast, Fengjiu accompanied her grandfather for a walk in the manor, while Moze went to rest first. Feng Sanyuan saw her looking around while walking, so he asked, "Little Feng, you haven't been back for a long time, right? Do you feel unfamiliar?" Fengjiu smiled and said, "How could that be? I've lived here for so long. Even if I haven't been back for a few years, I'm not unfamiliar with this home." She smiled and held his hand. "I'm just looking for green hair. I haven't seen it since last night." He, you're talking about that green-haired chicken. After you left it here, it's been raised by your mother. It eats good food every day. Did you notice that it's strong and fat?" Feng Sanyuan smiled and looked around. Usually, when you're not home, the house is very quiet. However, this green-haired chicken would jump out and bark from time to time. Although it's a bit noisy, it's also livelier. As the two talked, they didn't notice that green-haired chicken poked its head out from the flowers not far behind them and looked at Fengjiu. It didn't know if it was shy or something, but it actually shrank back and hid. With Fengjiu's strength and cultivation, she could sense green-haired chicken following behind them. However, it didn't come out, so she didn't call it out. Instead, she accompanied her grandfather for a walk and smiled. "I originally wanted to take Green Hair and Little Black with me this time and go to the immortal realm to be companions with other contracted beasts. However, since I can't find it, it's fine. I heard from brother that Little Black is guarding the Peach Blossom Cove. Master! Bring me along, bring me along. I want to go too, I want to go too." Hearing Fengjiu's words, Green Hair immediately rushed out from behind the flowers. Not dodging anymore. Fengjiu raised his eyebrows and looked at the sturdy and fat green fur in front of him. If me were to see it, she would probably think that it would be best to use it to make soup. Master! Green Feather wiggled its butt and squeaked. Fengjiu couldn't help but laugh when he saw this. He squatted down and touched Green Feather's glossy green feathers. "Little Feng, from what you've said, Mose's body still has the mark of the ancient Black Lotus. With this Black Lotus on him, will something bad happen? Can he control this Black Lotus?" Feng Sanyuan remembered what she said and was a little worried about Xianyuan Mose. Hearing his words, Fengjiu stood up and said, "If it's a blessing, it's not a curse. If it's a curse, it can't be avoided. Now that the Black Lotus is with him, it doesn't matter what happens. the only thing we can do is to face it. AI. Feng Sanyuan sighed. Looking at her, he patted her hand and said, outsiders only know that you guys have boundless glory, but they don't know that your journey is extremely difficult. It's really been hard on you. Fengjiu smiled and said, Grandfather, you don't have to worry about us. We'll be fine. No matter what kind of difficulties we encounter in the future, we'll overcome them one by one. Chapter 51-23. Looking at how confident she was now, Feng Sanyuan smiled. Good, good, good. With your words, Grandfather is relieved. After the two of them took a walk in the garden, Guan Shilin brought Yi Jing and the child over. She gathered with them before returning to the courtyard to rest. Even though she had not returned for a few years, the courtyard she used to live in was still kept for her in this home. There were even people who cleaned it, just like before. Nothing had changed. When she returned to the courtyard, she went to take a bath first before returning to the room. As soon as she entered the room, Xianyuan Mose patted the bed beside him and lifted the quilt. Come and sleep for a while. Fengjiu looked at him and revealed a gentle smile. After taking off her coat, she came to his side and laid down. A pair of big hands wrapped around her waist and pulled her into his embrace. Sleep. His deep voice sounded in her ear with a seductive magnetism. She only felt her ear itch and slightly rubbed against his chest. Her hands also wrapped around his waist, feeling the feeling of him by her side. "Ah, say, it's so good to have you by my side." She closed her eyes and murmured softly. Her entire body and mind relaxed as she fell into a deep sleep in his arms. Xianyuan Mose listened to her words and his deep eyes turned into deep affection. He lowered his head slightly and looked at Fengjiu, who was completely relaxed and sleeping in his arms. His thin lips curled up slightly and his eyes were filled with gentleness. He gently kissed her forehead and whispered, "Me too. With you by my side in this life, it's not a waste of time." After resting for a day, they took the carriage to Peach Blossom Cove the next morning. They did not fly on their swords, nor did they fly in the air. When they reached the foot of the mountain, they slowly walked up. Because this was Fengjiu's private place and they were not here, this place was usually not open to the public. In addition, there were guards here, so only the Feng family could come here. "I haven't been here for a long time. It's still so beautiful." As Feng Yi spoke, his pair of peach blossom eyes looked at this fairyland-like place and asked with a smile, "Ah, Joe, is there such a beautiful place on your fairyland-like island?" "And, it's even better." Fengjiu smiled and said. As soon as her voice fell, she felt the ground tremble slightly, as if something was running over. Bang, bang, bang. A huge black figure came out of the peach blossom forest and ran with both hands and feet. Every time it ran, the ground shook. "It's that big idiot." Chicken Feather came out from behind and called out when he saw the big black bear. "Master! Master!" The big black bear quickly ran to Fengjiu and looked at her with an aggrieved expression. "Master, you've finally come back to see Little Black. Master, will you bring Little Black with you this time? Master, I want to stay by your side. I don't want to stay here." Looking at it, Fengjiu could not help but feel apologetic. She reached out to pat its head, but it was too big and her hand could not touch its head. Just as she was about to reach back, it quickly squatted down and moved its head closer. Seeing this, she could not help but chuckle. She patted its head and said, "It's been hard on you these years. This time, I'll take you to the celestial realm to be with everyone." Chapter 51-24. Xianyuan Mose glanced at the big black bear and said to Fengjiu, "Let's go. Let's see which place is suitable." Knowing that he was talking about setting up a formation, Fengjiu nodded and went up with him. He said, "We'll set up another formation around here. That way, people won't enter by mistake." Although there were people guarding this place, it was hard to guarantee that there wouldn't be some curious cultivators who wanted to explore this place. If they set up a formation, unless they told the people around them how to enter the formation, other people would walk around inside and then come out again. Yes, this is a must. Xianyuan Mose responded and walked slowly. Du Fan and the others followed behind and went back to the familiar place. In the end, Fengjiu set up the transportation formation in the peach blossom garden because there was a large peach blossom garden here. With peach blossoms as a formation, it was very attractive. After choosing a place, Fengjiu set up a transportation formation in the peach blossom garden. This transportation formation was different from ordinary transportation formations. When the ancient pattern formed on the ground with a powerful aura, Du Fan and the others could feel the powerful energy in this transportation formation. Even Du Fan, who was proficient in formations, felt that this transportation formation was very mysterious when he saw Fengjiu personally set it up. The ancient pattern and the energy in the formation seemed to contain a mysterious and powerful force and mystery, making people unable to understand it even if they wanted to. Especially when he saw her cut her finger and drip her blood into the formation, he was even more surprised. He had never seen such a mysterious and ancient formation before. But thinking about it, it made sense. If anyone could comprehend the profundities within it, they probably wouldn't have been isolated from the world for millions of years. After setting up the formation and setting up another formation around it, time slowly passed. They walked around the Peach Blossom Cove and admired the peach blossoms. That night, they stayed here. It wasn't until the next morning that they put Green Hair and Little Black into the space and brought them back to the Feng family. The days spent together always passed quickly. Even if Fengjiu wanted to spend more time with them, time passed unknowingly. She knew that the things here were almost done. She should go back to the immortal realm because she was needed there more than here. She had settled everything here, but there were still many things waiting for her to do in the immortal realm. Moreover, Mose was suppressing his strength now and was about to fly. She had to go back and prepare in advance to prevent someone from causing trouble for him. Therefore, this morning, she woke up early and wanted to see Feng Yi and Zhao Yang's morning exercises. When her parents woke up, she wanted to tell them about her departure. Unexpectedly, when she went to the martial arts field, she saw that her father had also woken up early. Just as she was about to call him, she saw him walk into the small path towards the back of the mountain. She was surprised and paused for a moment before following him. Actually, she was a little curious. What was her father doing at the back of the mountain so early in the morning? Feng Xiao woke up early. Most of the masters in the manor hadn't woken up yet. The servants didn't ask where he went. Moreover, this was the road to the back of the mountain. Du Fan and the others wouldn't come here and naturally wouldn't bump into each other. Therefore, when he went to the back of the mountain, he didn't think that there would be people following behind him.